Hello, this is Adam with DreamMade Productions. I just wanted to make this quick video to kind of finally close out the David campaign. In this, I'm going to be going over a little more how the campaign system worked, giving you guys a little behind the scenes, showing the spreadsheet, showing how the game kind of flowed, and then at the end, I'm going to ask you guys if you have any suggestions or comments about the rules that I've gone over to leave them in the comments below. That way I can review them when I'm doing my rewrite to get ready for the next campaign. So, to do a quick review, the way the system works is that each side has their forces, and then they each have essentially 2 resource points. They have their war chest points, which is the total points that they have both working towards victory and whatever assets that they have access to. They can take those war points and convert them into supply points. Supply points is how a side pays to have new mechs, new mech warriors, combat equipment, reloads, repairs, that kind of thing. You can, as I said, convert war points to supply points, but you cannot convert supply points to war points. So in this instance, this was how the campaign started. This was their total battle value for all of their units. All pilots were 4/4 pilots, and each side started with 1,000 war points and supply points. So your war points are used to buy the next mission that you're going to go on and ultimately declare victory. And your supply points are going to be the resource that you use to buy new units and repair your units. As you can see here, the Draconis Combine player paid half of their war chest points, 500 war chest points, to attempt the Capture Civilian Structure mission, whereas the Federated Sons player spent 25 of their war points to play the Recon Enemy Force mission. Now, why is one mission worth more than the other? Well, it's simple. The Capture Civilian Structure had a much larger payout than the Recon Enemy Force. In this instance, it didn't matter. Unfortunately, the Caridans didn't complete their objective, so it was a high-risk, high-reward situation. The Federated Sons risked very little, and they also got a much smaller payout. So if you look here, this is what it looked like at the end of turn 1. As you can see, the Draconis Combine made some pretty significant purchases here to replace the forces that they lost in the first campaign turn. And then you can see how it adds up at the bottom here. Now, the Federated Sons did better, but as you can see here, most of their rewarded points came from tonnage defeated and defending their structure, which was not the attack mission that they chose. Then they had some minor things from other stuff they did, but as you can see, it's a high risk, high reward when you're attacking. Now, you'll also notice that the Federated Sons paid for their pilots to be upgraded. So they went from 4/4 pilots, some of them, to 3/3 pilots. That proved to be a major problem in the rules. That was not balanced properly. If that would have continued, then most of the sides would have had like 0/0 pilots in just a couple of turns. So that had to be rewritten. We ended up playing with the 3/3 pilots, and really they didn't make that big of a difference. So it did throw off the game a little bit, but that's going to be one of the big issues, is upgrading pilots in the pilot skill system. So that's going to be a major rewrite. So that's the end of turn 1. Let's take a look at the beginning of turn 2. So here we have turn 2 from the Draconis Combine. Here is where you can see they chose more of a recon mission, much less of a risk, and they committed their recon force, whereas to defend they committed their assault lance, their command lance. Now here is where the Federated Sons did their turn 2. As you can see, they chose the supply recovery, the crate recovery mission. That mission proved to be very popular, just One, because it was so fun to play, and because it was popular with the audience. So with that, you can see that it was also kind of a low risk thing, because a lot of the points could be awarded on who recovered which crates. Again, you see green attackers and red defenders. Now here is a mission track. This is what the missions actually look like. Some of this needs to be rewritten, but this is the supply crate recovery. So at the top you see here what type of mission it is, its background, its rewards, its costs, that kind of thing. This is a very rough draft, but this is what all the missions look like, and we have about a dozen of these generic missions so far. A lot of them need work done to them for balancing and for them to look better, but this is basically what all of the missions look like. So here we have the end of turn 2. Again, you can see that the Draconis Combine was awarded their points and spent their points. Looks like, they did repairs, that kind of thing. Now here's the Federated Suns, end of their turn, and as you can see, they did a lot of repairs. And depending upon the damage level and that kind of thing, let me show you how repairs work. So everything in the campaign rules depends upon what kind of unit it is. In this instance, we were in 3028, so we only basically had introductory level technology to deal with, and here are the basic rules for introductory technology. As you can see, repairing a unit is based on its tonnage, purchasing a unit is just straight up its battle value, and rearming it is a token 5, just because rearming is simple. The reason that custom units cost more is because we basically don't want people just running in and removing all of the kind of built-in flaws that are in battle mechs, and because in the lore it's going to be harder to maintain a customized unit than it is going to be maintaining and repairing a unit that's well understood. There are rules, of course, for advanced technology, for clan technology, for experimental technology, but since none of that was involved in this campaign, we just basically stuck to introductory units, and actually neither one of us actually customized any units, so we didn't even need that. So in the campaign, there are basically damage levels. We're not going to count every single little point of armor and internal structure and stuff like that. That's just an easier way of getting it to flow. So there's 5 damage levels. There's damage level 5, which is fully functional, and it goes down from that until damage level 0 is completely useless. So basically each damage level that you're at is going to be a higher cost to repair. Now, repairing damage is based on tonnage. Well, tonnage and what type of unit it is, but since in this campaign we're only dealing with introductory units, it's all based on tonnage. So say you had a 60-ton mech, obviously it doesn't cost anything to repair a fully functional mech with no damage. On a lightly damaged mech, it would cost 60 points to repair it, heavy damage 120, and so on and so forth. So let's skip ahead a little bit here. Here is the beginning of turn 6. So this is quite a while after turn 2. As you can see here, this is where the committing of multiple lances kind of was going on. Again, you can see where the Draconis Combine chose to do a kind of low risk, low reward scan structure, and they committed their recon lance to that while committing their tanks, infantry, and their medium mechs to defense. So here is the Federated Suns, beginning of turn 6. Again, it looks like both sides here are being very conservative. They're trying to preserve their war chest points because they chose to recon enemy force. So let's go ahead and take a look at the end of turn 6. Here's the end of turn 6 for the Draconis Combine. Again, they're being awarded their points for completing their objectives, and they're also repairing their units and buying new units. Alright, so let's take a look at the Federated Suns. End of turn 6, as you can see here, This is really after the game had turned. This is kind of the beginning of the end for the Draconis Combine. You can see here the major difference in battle value between the two forces now. Again, you can see where the Federated Sons is being awarded their points and then spending points on repairs and such. Alright, let's go ahead and skip forward again. Here is the beginning of turn 8. As you can see here, the Draconis Combine isn't looking so good with their points total here. They do have some supply points from what they converted, but their war chest is low and their battle value is low. Now contrast that with the Federated Sons. As you can see here, they have a significant advantage in battle value, something like 3 or 4 times their battle value. And this is really why we started kind of wrapping stuff down. The writing was on the wall. Here is the end of turn 8 for the Draconis Combine. We went ahead, we had plans to continue, so these are the repairs and the purchases that the Draconis Combine was making. And here we have the end of turn 8 for the Federated Sons. Again, more repairs and such, setting up for the next round. But after comparing these two sheets and talking it over, we basically called the end of the campaign. You know, as you can see, there's such a big difference between the two forces, it just wasn't fair anymore. So I started kind of wrapping things up. So here is the final for the Draconis Combine. As you can see, they have about 6,600 battle value with 30 war points in their war chest and some minor supply points, which wouldn't really matter for ending the game. But you compare that to the Federated Sons final ending, and as you can see, things aren't even close. The Federated Sons has such a big advantage just in battle value. They're at 24, almost 25,000. They got 660 war points, and they'd have quite a bit more supply points to buy even more mechs, and almost enough to field yet another lance. So we just decided to call it then and there, and I started working on the lore videos to end out the series. Now, there are all kinds of things in here that need to be rewritten, but the one that I'm really looking at the most is for pilot and crew recruitment and improvement. So here were the original rules for hiring crew, mech warriors, pilots, that kind of thing, and improving their skills. Now, this is what caused us some of the most trouble. This doesn't seem to be very balanced. I'm pretty happy with hiring crew at 5.5, 4.4, and 3.4. The 3.3 I think is a little low at 52 supply points, keeping in mind that mechs cost their battle value, so you can buy a cheap mech like a Wasp or a Stinger or a Locust for just round it off and say about 400 supply points. So if you wanted to hire a regular mech warrior, 4.4 pilot, you're talking 1/4 of the value of a cheap mech. And if you're talking, like an Atlas, it's 2,000 battle value, then it's significantly less of an investment. So the biggest problem was down here with improving skill costs. This just proved to be totally broken. Only charging 10 points to improve a skill cost and 8 for piloting skills, that just proved to be totally broken. In a few turns, any surviving pilots would be like 0-0 pilots. If you had pilots not constantly dying, things would get out of hand very quickly. I don't want to have something that is so convoluted that you got to have a whole chart to look up to see what improving a skill would cost, but clearly just charging 10 points is way too little, but you can't charge a whole lot more, so I might have to have going from elite to, or veteran to elite, or regular to veteran, or something like that. Not really sure. That's something that if anybody has any advice out there, I would be grateful. Just leave your comments and anything that you suggest. I will consider and see if I can't work into the rules to improve them. So that's it, guys. I just wanted to show you a little bit more behind the scenes on how the rules worked and kind of how the campaign flowed in, and show you how we kept track of everything and share in some of the problems that we had running this. Like I said, if you have any suggestions at all, please leave them in the comments. I'll be more than happy to read them and considering when I'm rewriting this. As I mentioned, for the next few weeks, or more likely the next few months, we'll just be doing some one-shot games, and don't worry, there'll always be lore, there'll always be things more than just us saying, hey, here are the mechs, and throwing them on the table. That adds so much more to the videos just for me, and everyone seems to enjoy those, so don't worry, there'll be more battle reps on the way as I rewrite these rules. Once I get everything rewritten, I'm already planning the next campaign. The next campaign will be bigger in every way. There'll be more units, there'll be advanced technology, and I'm planning on creating a full campaign, not just the generic missions, but with some actual campaign-specific missions that'll trigger when you reach certain levels or when certain things happen. So I hope you really enjoy that, and as always, I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come.